Hey, how you going? I'm Doc, and welcome to the first ever Super Nun10doe podcast. I've decided to do this podcast because I love video games. I love playing them. I love doing reviews on them, doing news, finding out all the latest that's happening in the video game world, and even in the game development world as well. I like to know how things work and pull things apart and put them back together, and I think that will come across in the podcast as well. So hopefully you enjoy it. Today we're going to be chatting with Disparity Games, which is very exciting. They're a local Australian video game company. They've done some really great things that we'll learn about as well. But we started the conversation because as we walked into the studio that we're recording in, they said, "This looks a lot like the TARDIS from Doctor Who," and it really does. So that's where the conversation started.
Super Nun10doe.
Yeah, it is. It's a bit like the TARDIS. You guys big Doctor Who fans?
Oh, yeah.
Watch it.
Yeah, you watch it
Started
occasionally.
it with Tom Baker.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So yeah, I still see Eccleston and go, "Oh, the new Doctor."
Yeah, me too. I'm not a fan of the new ones.
No.
Like, I didn't mind Tennant. He was okay. He was
Oh.
the closest to like the
Yeah.
original
Yeah,
Doctors.
I thought Tennant would do a really good.
I'm not a Stephen Moffat fan, so
No.
I'm excited to see what happens now.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
on.
I am too. Yeah,
Yeah.
Hey, you feel good about the female Doctor?
Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah.
that's exciting.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, and the guy who's the showrunner did Broadchurch, and I love Broadchurch. So,
Yeah.
So,
The last season of Broadchurch was really, really good.
With the
Yeah.
American Broadchurch or
No,
the
the English one.
yeah, because I
Yeah,
thought it was
the
weird
American
they got
one,
him
that's-
over to do
ugh.
the same character again.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
why did you just release the show? Like, it's not that much
No.
different.
I know, and they've got they had to upgrade the woman.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
What
that's
was
right.
with
She
that?
was
That was
suddenly
awful.
more attractive. And
Yeah.
younger,
but
and you go,
the woman in
"But-"
Broadchurch was, the mum in Broadchurch is the
Oh,
new Doctor,
she's
Yeah,
she's
Yeah.
amazing.
which is crazy. I love that.
Yeah.
So I've got the team here from Disparity Games. We've got Nicole. Cole,
Yeah.
is that what you prefer? Cole?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jason.
Hello. I
Hello.
just prefer
Hello.
Jason.
Hello.
Hello.
He's put his radio voice on.
Yeah.
And we're here to talk gaming and game development. You guys have been developing games for how long now?
Oh, too long. Nearly 20 years now.
Yeah, when you actually can't think of a number, that's too long.
We've
Yeah.
nearly gotten to the point where we've spent more of our life developing games than
Than
not
not.
developing.
Oh,
games.
really?
I
Yeah,
don't think we're
getting
not
close.
there yet.
We're close.
Yeah.
Like,
Was it
another
a
few years.
was it a love of games that got you into development, or was it more art and a way to express your art?
Oh, I mean, we loved games, but it wasn't something you considered was a possible career
Yeah.
back then. So we learnt to animate, and
Right.
we kind of got into it from there. But it was a very happy accident.
What sort of equipment were you using back when you started?
Oh, we had an Amiga 1200.
Really?
Yeah, it was still my best unboxing experience ever was
Yeah.
buying that thing. And
Imagine if you could film that now.
I
And
know.
We're unboxing the Amiga.
Maybe 1200.
Yeah.
with its little 13-inch screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there were the software was really early days. It would take you about 24 hours to render a
Yeah,
picture
wow.
of, tiles with some silver balls.
Yeah, silver balls on checker tile.
Yeah,
on
yeah.
And
checkerboard.
teapots. For
Teapots.
some reason, you always made teapots.
They took so long to render. You'd set it up overnight to render a few balls.
Wow.
And I still remember the conversation when I was talking to someone who was doing an animation course. They said, "Oh, wow, we saw some silicon graphics machines today." And you could have a ball on screen and move a point and you would see it move in real time. And we were like, "Whoa, that's amazing.
Whoa.
The power to have one ball to form in
Yeah.
real time." That was crazy specialized hardware.
Because I rang my mum for Mother's Day the other day, and I was saying to her
As
then,
you should.
as you
Yes,
should,
well done.
as which is I'm a
Yeah.
good son, And I said to her, why didn't you, when I was programming on my Commodore 64, why didn't you push me to develop games?
Yes.
I could have had a very different career path.
It's true because a lot of the people who are super established, the legends of our industry, are people who... Because I programmed on a Commodore 64 too, but it never occurred to me that you could do anything.
No, it was never an option.
They're the crazy kids who did.
Yeah.
And then, now they're multimillionaires. And
Yeah, we basically stuffed around rendering pictures of teapots when we were supposed to be
we should be making
doing
games
our...
back then. It took us too long to...
Well, it's funny because someone who was rendering teapots back then probably made Cuphead recently.
Yeah.
Because it was,
Probably.
Yeah.
So from there, you went on and joined some game development companies, obviously, and so what happened? How did that all happen? How did you go? Oh wow, we can do this. We can make a career out of this.
So we went down to Sydney, and Jason worked for a place called, was it Brilliant Digital Entertainment?
Oh, or Brilliant something interactive. It had about
it was
6
brilliant
different
anyway
names for tax purposes. So I was never quite sure who I worked for. BDE. And we made real-time interactive story games. Actually, we had some pretty cool licenses. We had an Ace Ventura one.
Oh, really?
We had Xena.
The first game I ever worked on was a Xena interactive
Really?
thing. I know. I thought I was so cool.
That is awesome. So the Ace Ventura one, was that it's like a point and click adventure? It was kind of like
it wasn't a point and click adventure. It was like a choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
It might be the one you're thinking.
It was like Leisure Suit Larry style. No,
it was a different one.
Yeah, okay.
The less cool one.
Less cool one.
But the most cool moment that happened there, I was so jealous of the other teams because they were doing a Kiss.
Oh wow!
They did a Kiss one, and they actually got a phone call with Gene Simmons.
No,
got to chat, and he said he was just talking to him. He was just like talking to anyone, just a normal person.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he burst into this like blah 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 Satan. And he goes, "You've been waiting all phone conversation." Yeah. So that was pretty cool, but that didn't happen to me.
And did you get to did anything happen with the Xena game? Did you get to meet?
No,
any of the Xena
it
crew?
It wasn't that exciting. But I think they did the actual audio, like Lucy Lawless.
Yeah.
So, they were tangentially involved.
Have animated to Lucy's recorded dialogue.
That's a massive thing.
Yeah, you're basically best friends.
Yeah. So the next step up would be if it was Bruce Campbell. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Good, yes. Yeah.
Imagine that. So you were developing that sort of stuff. You went on to build other games.
Oh yeah. So we came back to Brisbane because we were desperate,
right,
to come back to Brisbane.
Get out of the rat race of Sydney.
Sydney. Yeah, because it was so funny because back then house prices were dear in Sydney and they were still cheap in Brisbane. So I was looking at people paying them $1 million for these terrible houses and just laughing and going, "This is insanity."
And you're on game developer wages.
Yeah, that's right. Game developer wages, going, this is no good. So we came back to Brisbane to the sun.
Yeah.
And we worked for Krome, and we were there right at the start of Krome, where we were moving files from computer to computer via floppy disk.
Wow.
At times, because we were still scrambling to get the network.
So Krome were massive. They were
tiny at the start.
Yeah.
It was like
they went from, while we were there, they went from about 15 people to 800.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then back down to 15.
Yeah. And that's been the case with a lot of large game developers in Australia, particularly, isn't it? They rise quickly but fall even quicker.
Well, there was a massive crash about 6 years ago now, 7 years ago, when the GFC hit and basically the Aussie dollar shot up, and all of a sudden it became more expensive for Americans to make their games in Australia than it was for them to make in America. So that closed down pretty much every big studio in the country.
So what sort of titles were you working on with Krome?
Well, we worked on all of the Ty the Tasmanian Tiger, which those games still have their fans.
Ty the Tasmanian Tiger 1 is the highest rated game on Steam.
Is it really?
Still is, but it certainly
I don't know
was
why.
at some point.
No one knows why, but it is.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And I animated the main character.
Did you really?
Yeah, Ty.
That's so cool.
That's my movement there.
Wow. Do you look back and just go, "That's obviously you do." You look back and go, "Wow, that's mine. I did that. It gives you warm fuzzies still.
No, mainly it gives me PTSD.
Because of all the late nights
Yeah.
and the coffee.
Yeah, the theme music's just stuck in my head because we demoed it at E3.
Yeah.
So you're just sitting next to that theme music playing on loop for
Wow.
like the day.
Yeah.
For 3 days, 8 days. So yeah, no, PTSD pretty much. I guess there should be pride there.
Yeah.
Like I can intellectually recognise.
I get that a bit. I didn't work on Crash Bandicoot because I'm not actually very good at development. But I sold a lot of consoles when I worked in a computer game store for a while. And Crash Bandicoot was on the loop all the time.
Yeah.
And so when someone brings up, oh, go away, they're bringing out a new Crash Bandicoot. That's
It's
all,
like,
and I'm like, I don't want to know about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can have your Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah.
Well, I worked on a Barbie game while I was there, and I'm still quite proud of that one.
And you did a lot of the design work for the dresses and things like that, did you?
Yeah, I got to design all her costumes.
Yeah.
It was like all those years of dressing up my Barbies really paid off.
And you've gone on, like, you've won awards and things like that for your work that you've done in that area.
I've won awards. I don't know how related it is to that, but yeah.
Well, not Barbie dress awards.
But you did get. You have to tell them about the Mattel.
Yeah. No. When we were over at E3, I met someone who was from Mattel because they're very precious about Barbie.
Yeah.
And they said they loved my costumes, and if I wanted to, I could apply to work there and actually design actual costumes
No
for
way.
Barbie. And I was like, oh my God. I didn't,
and
but
you
it
didn't.
was still a moment for me.
It's like, that's your sliding doors moment, Gwyneth.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
To date, I think that's the highest accolade.
really?
Oh,
we've ever
yeah.
done.
It was
that's
pretty
the most
exciting.
amazing thing.
Yeah.
Oh, probably second most.
What's the highest then?
Probably having like amazing writers from because when we this is skipping ahead to Ninja Pizza Girl, but when we did Ninja Pizza Girl, we actually had writers from BioWare and a number of
Tomb
other
Raider.
and the Tomb Raider writer and pretty much every writer from every narrative game company in the world just saying, "Oh, this game's really good, well done." I went, "Oh, okay."
That's really cool.
Thank
That's
you.
a really
Yeah.
wow, that's amazing.
But the second most is definitely the Barbie costume
It's-
design, which is amazing.
You were this close. But you did it for the game, and that's awesome. Like,
Yeah,
that's-
it was. It was very cool.
that's
And
so-
I worked from home sort of half the day back then. So my daughter, she's 21 now, but at the time she was quite little, and she used to sit beside me and like tell me, no, make it more pink. Make it ruffly.
And that's where she started getting her design eye, obviously.
Yeah. She's been involved from a very early age.
Have you seen that? There's a Netflix show, The Toys That Made Us, and there's a Barbie episode of that, and it just goes right into. It's amazing, some of those stories. It's worth checking out. So we were at Krome. Where did we go next?
Oh, we went to Noosa.
Yeah, we
Krome. We were at
didn't
Krome for a
leave
long
Krome.
time.
Krome left us.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
And you ended up in Noosa. Like, why Noosa? What?
Well, we figured if we were going to work from home,
May as well do it
home
with the
could-
best possible
Yeah.
surroundings.
exactly.
Yeah, seriously, it was like, because you go, well, we have NBN now.
Yeah.
Because it had just turned out. Although that's another story. We believed we had NBN at that point. And you just unroll a map of Australia and go, where do you want to live?
Yeah.
And even though we'd lived in Brisbane for years, we'd always been coming to the Sunshine Coast, to the point where when you go into a shop and they said, are you a local? You'd go,
Sort of.
no,
We'd like to be.
Yeah. We want to be local.
Define local.
Yeah.
Like,
Local-ish. So yeah, when we finally had the chance, it was like a cord snapping or something. You know, the thing that tied us to Brisbane just snapped, and we go, fine, we're going to go live in paradise and make video games.
and that decision was made. Obviously, Krome made a decision for you, but you made the decision then to create Disparity Games and live wherever you wanted.
Well, our options at that point were either to move overseas or try and make our own company. And we figured we could always try that first and move overseas later.
when it failed. That's still our option too.
Yeah.
So was Run Fatty Run the first game that you guys designed
Yeah,
under
it was,
Disparity?
yeah.
It was. It's a game we wouldn't make today.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I looked at it and I was like, oh, that game is so much fun, but in today's politically correct climate, it's kind of...
It was funny because we were anguished during the entire production because
Yeah.
we wanted to skirt, because we didn't want to be poking fun at
Yeah.
overweight people, and we wanted it to be a pro thing. Like, it's one of the very few video games where an overweight person is the protagonist.
Yeah.
And we wanted to show a world from their point of view. But at the same time, we were trying to satirize government's responses to it. I mean, that's the whole
Yeah,
point.
we were trying to poke fun at the people who poke fun
Yeah.
of larger people, but it did end up veering a bit.
It veered a bit, and our messaging wasn't very clear.
That's all part of art, though, isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
you create a piece of art, and the person looking at it can determine what they see in it.
Yeah,
as opposed to what you
exactly.
see in
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter what we intended.
Yeah.
If that's not what we're conveying, then we messed up. So, in my opinion, we messed up a bit. We think if we were to release it again, it would be called Bert's Bad Day.
Okay, cool.
And I think that instantly changes.
Yeah,
the
it
game
does.
to-
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
It's
The name
Yeah.
Run Fatty Run is funny. It's fun. But
it's
you're
Yeah.
right. Bert's
It's
Bag.
a meme.
Yeah.
And you just go, okay, and it distances you from the protagonist, and we wanted to put you there. So.
And so, how long did that take to develop and put together? And
Oh yeah, when we moved up here, we thought we'd have about 6 weeks and we'd
Yeah.
release it. Ended up being about 6 months.
Yeah, right.
But we'd worked on it for about a year before,
wow.
on the side
Yeah.
as well as.
Yeah, see, we were always planning
Yeah.
to break free, so it just was
Just took a bit longer than we thought.
it took a bit longer than we thought.
Yeah.
But it was released. It did pretty well.
So from there, you moved on to Ninja Pizza Girl,
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
and that was massive for you guys. That's a big game.
Yeah, it was a really great opportunity while the Australian government was funding video games
Yeah,
for that
yeah.
brief little window. We happened to get
That
in
was
there.
such
Snuck
a
in.
happy window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it was great.
There was so much joy in the games industry because
Yeah.
we'd just been decimated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was a major coup. It was basically the government going, oh, it's okay. We recognise that this is a growing industry, but you've just been smashed by forces beyond your control. Let's pump some cash in to boost everyone up. And it worked so well. It wasn't just us. It was like
Yeah.
fairly large companies have grown from that fund.
It was a very short-lived fund, but it had huge echoes
Yeah.
to this day.
Yeah, that's great. Look, they should do that again.
Yeah,
Like, we need that.
absolutely.
We need that now. Like, that's-
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It would be amazing.
Well, Screen Queensland are actually coming on board now and starting to fund games.
Really? That's
yeah.
great.
Yeah,
And
no,
Film Victoria down in Victoria have been doing a great job for a while.
And I noticed there's a lot of like universities really promoting game development now, which is something that
Yeah.
never happened before. It was always sort of
The
Yeah.
Sunshine Coast Uni has
Yeah,
got an
they have a great
amazing
course.
And I really like their course. It's fairly unique because they focus on serious games,
yeah, right.
and so they come at video games from a really unique, thoughtful angle and how they impact society and what they can do. And I really believe it's the technologies of the future. So,
Yeah.
we regularly go down there and see
Yeah.
what the students are doing. Every
Yeah.
year we go down. They have like a little show, and we're part of that, and I'm just blown away every time.
Yeah.
It's terrifying because you go down there and you see all these creative young people.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like, no,
Yeah.
no,
Stop.
stop.
You took me out of a job.
Yeah, stop being so good at this.
But I mean, these are also the people that you could eventually, snap up
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
and work with and develop with and hone their abilities.
Mm.
And,
Yeah,
and they can also help us oldies
yeah, absolutely.
to learn the new
Understand this.
technologies and understand them better.
yeah.
Tell me what's cool these days.
Ninja Pizza Girl was that it was more of Raven's concept than anything? Is that where it came from?
Technically, our oldest daughter Alia was the
Oh,
original
okay.
Ninja Pizza Girl.
Let's not forget that. She
Yeah.
probably keeps
We
up a
have-
stink about that all the time.
We have
That was
4
me.
daughters, so it does get confusing.
Yeah.
But when we lived in Brisbane, Alia was a pizza delivery girl.
Okay, right.
And she was learning kung fu, which we know, not really ninja, but
Yeah. Wow, that's Ninja has such a
Ninja-ish.
better ring to it.
yeah. And Jason used to call her his Ninja Pizza Girl.
And so we just thought, well,
Yeah.
we'll make that video game. And we hadn't even finished Run Fatty Run at this point.
No. It
Oh,
was-
really? So-
No. The idea is ancient.
Yeah.
Ninja Pizza Girl's been part of
So
the
it took a
family.
long time to get off the ground and
Yeah.
wow.
But then when we finally sat down to make it, we were sitting around the kitchen table and, Jason's like, okay, so we're going to need enemies, something to fight. And, he's like, you're robots, zombies, And Raven just kind of looked at him and went, "Oh, Dad, the worst thing in my life is other kids."
Yeah, right.
And it just grew into a game about, bullying and her experiences in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, the heart and soul of Ninja Pizza Girl isn't me and Nicole. It's actually our daughters have put it in there. And it would not be the same game without them.
And for, you sit down, you play Ninja Pizza Girl, and it's a fun platform game. You're beating the clock. But I guess you don't always think about the undertones of the society in it. So that the bullying and things like that, that's amazing.
It's really weird. We did a lot of thinking. We've got the world is actually almost fully scoped out. Like, we know all about the politics of this world. You only see little snippets of it in the game. But we also want to go into how big companies can utilize branding and marketing and ideas of being cool to exploit vulnerable members of the population, because you've got all these kids doing these wildly dangerous things, working for this other company, and they're barely getting any paid, but they get cred, they get to wear the company's branding and whatnot. So that's another little sub theme we threw in there.
Yeah, but honestly, it's not easy being a teenage girl. we really just wanted to capture that experience.
Yeah, whenever we were showing it at shows, and girls or women, even like 35, 40-year-old women would come up to play the game, and we'd say, the scariest thing when you're a teenager is other girls, and they'd all go, "Oh yeah,
right.
Oh yeah."
Yeah.
And it's weird because it's not something that really gets talked about. So certainly not something that's ever been put in video games before.
No, that's right. Yeah.
I feel like it's starting to be talked about a bit more now. It's a pretty hot topic.
We were ahead of our time.
The last couple of years especially. Like it's a hot topic. Yeah. So Ninja Pizza Girl became available on pretty much all the consoles.
Everything.
Yep.
PC.
All the things.
All the things
iOS
that you could get it on.
iOS and Android, if you want.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on, not Android.
No, we didn't have it yet.
Shh. No, Android.
Not
Android
Android.
doesn't exist. I don't know when Android is.
Have you thought about maybe bringing it out again for a console like the Switch?
We did think about it, but honestly, we're pretty keen to move on to something else.
Okay, right,
now.
yeah. Because it's not an easy port, is it? You'd have to completely.
No port's easy.
Yeah.
But I could do it.
I don't know. I was just playing my Switch the other night, and I thought,
it's a good.
It's
fit.
a really good fit.
It's a good fit.
But it'll be a good fit for our next game too.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where we're thinking. You get to a point where you go, well, we could do more Ninja Pizza Girl, or we could spend that time and effort doing our next thing.
Okay, so what is your next thing?
So it's pretty early days, but we're working on a game called Selkie, the Seventh Tier.
Wow.
And it's about mermaids, really.
It's about a Selkie. Well, Selkies, they're not quite mermaids. They're actually half seal.
Okay, right.
Not fish.
But we wanted to make a game that was a little bit more coastal, I guess.
Yeah, sure, yeah. Well, that's what you look out your window every day. That's what you see.
Yeah, exactly.
So what type of game are we talking?
It's got a bit of everything in it, because there's a group, like you start off alone, but you make friends and you meet people. So there's that real interpersonal...
ragtag group of misfits save the world,
right,
that sort of thing.
That sort of thing. But there's also a lot of action in it too.
Yeah.
So we wanted to do what BioWare is traditionally famous for, which is combine action mechanics and the story and character development as well. Because that's what we both love.
Yeah. So you level up by leveling up your relationships with other people.
Yeah. So instead of like pumping points into your stats, you have to forge these relationships.
It's like forcing you to be social.
Exactly.
In a really, some consider it a non-social environment. Video games. It makes you work on your social skills.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, so many video games are about being by yourself and being the hero by yourself, and only you can save the world. And in real life, the complete opposite is true. It's like by yourself, you can't achieve anything. It's always... the only reason why Nicole and I are here is because of all the people who've helped us along the way. And really, when we're being interviewed for this, I feel like there's 100, 200 invisible people sitting around us all going... And
Don't forget this bit. Don't forget this bit.
Yeah.
Hey, I did the music over here. Remember?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
There's just so many people have been here, and I really think that message should come across in
Yeah,
video
great.
games more. Like you.
So when can we expect to see this one?
Oh, no.
We are far too experienced
Really?
to give dates for anything.
Yeah.
So we're not launching it at E3 in a few weeks.
No, we guarantee it. We promise. That's definite.
Yeah.
No, it's being worked on.
Yeah. What are you developing it for? What any console particular or system?
Ooh.
Oh.
Well, we're good at releasing things on all the things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just keep an eye out.
Yeah.
Awesome. You guys do a lot of stuff outside video games as well. So you do work for businesses, I see on your website. So
Yeah, mostly game development.
so it's mostly game development.
The
though?
Northern Territory Library stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We got to make a very cool language app for the
cool.
Northern Territories Library.
Yeah.
For Indigenous languages, because there's a lot of Indigenous languages out there. I think people would be amazed to learn how many living Indigenous languages. These aren't dead. Oh, look, you can look it up in a book. These are languages that are being spoken by communities today, and there are so many out there, which obviously makes communication tricky.
Yeah, especially between the different groups of Indigenous.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, so they asked us to make this app, and we did, and it did pretty well. So they asked us to do another one.
Yeah.
That's all extendable, and we wanted to make something that they could add to, so they didn't have to keep coming back to us. So they could add languages and they could add words.
Yeah, we've made ourselves obsolete. Basically.
Yeah, basically that was our intent.
Yeah,
to
good
make
work.
ourselves
Yeah.
obsolete.
Yeah.
But that was just it was awesome.
Yeah.
That was an awesome project.
And we've also gotten to work on our friends at Prideful Sloth, their cool game called Yonder, the Cloudcatcher Chronicles.
Okay, right. That's
That's actually coming out on Switch
Yeah.
this week. I
yeah.
think tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it's in the coming soon thing on the Switch. Yeah.
Once again, I think I animated not everything.
Nearly everything.
Nearly everything. So
Really?
nearly everything that moves.
And how do you get involved with that? So do they just come to you and say, we need this section done and this section done, and then you send it off and they...
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
We worked with them at Krome.
Okay.
And they went off and worked for cool people in the UK.
For cool people.
Yeah.
You've Rocksteady.
Yeah,
And
right.
Ninja
Well,
Theory.
very cool people.
Yeah, super cool people.
Like super cool people.
Yeah.
That's like the coolest of people.
Yeah.
Like you've just named the Fonzie of the video game
pretty
world.
much.
Exactly.
And they came back to Australia and said, well, how can we beat working with Rocksteady? And
Yeah.
they go, Disparity.
Yeah, well,
So they
yeah.
grabbed us. And they're based there, actually. They're like us. They work out of their kitchen, but they're
Great.
in Brisbane.
Wow.
So, yeah, there are video games being made all around you.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
You never know. You walk down a boring suburban street, and for all you know, you just walk past 6 game dev studios.
Yeah.
You
There's
don't
some
know.
guy sitting in a coffee shop somewhere
Yeah.
with his computer.
Yeah,
And,
seriously.
yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Do you have any advice for game developers up and coming, wanting to start their own indie platform, indie company? Where do you
yes, we
start?
do.
What do you do?
My go-to advice is make friends.
Yeah.
Make friends with other people who want to make games. There's always meetups for game developers. Go to your closest meetup, and it's really hard to get ahead without the sort of skill sharing environment. That's one of the hardest things about being in an isolated team. So yeah, go make friends. If you're lucky, you'll be able to make games with your friends.
It's so true because everyone has strengths, don't they?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Someone's really great at animation, another person's a
Yeah.
great designer. Like, I really enjoy getting in and programming, but I'm a terrible drawer.
Yeah.
Like I,
Yes.
oh,
You need to talk
Yeah.
to Raven.
yeah. So that's you're right. It's about getting together and
Yeah.
working
And
together.
that
Yeah.
advice sounds so simple, but it is so
Yeah.
hard when you rock on up to a meetup and everyone knows everyone and they're just talking to each other and you can feel so isolated, and it's really easy to get resentful and go, oh, these people know each other. They're just they've got the contacts and everything, and it's so unfair. And it's really hard to go, particularly if you're the sort of person attracted to games development.
Yeah.
Chances are you're not the most outgoing person on the planet.
Yeah.
Kids hate hearing this advice because we've given this advice to everyone from people in their 20s to people who are like 6 years old. And it's so great to see like the 6-year-old boy going, what can I do to do video games? You go, you got to make friends. He just goes,
I
oh,
don't want to make friends.
that's the worst thing in the world. But it's really hard to do, but you've got to push past it. And, it's not crazy to suggest actually reaching social networking, talking to people, making friends.
I guess social media in general has changed the whole way that we communicate with other people, and it's opened the world up for people who are a bit more insular.
And like networking is a skill like any other. You might naturally have a really low talent for it, but if you just keep learning and getting progress. Shocking.
I was shocking. I've had to manually learn.
Practice.
Well, and look, me too. I've always been the shy little girl that didn't want to talk to anyone. But you just keep going and
you can study it, practice it, just like you've got your coding book on one side and you've got your how to make friends and influence people book on the other side. It seriously is like that.
Networking for dummies.
Here
it is. Yeah,
absolutely.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for coming in. It's been great talking to you both.
It was good talking to you.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much. And make sure you check out disparitygames.com for more info and to find out what everyone is up to in the future. And we look forward to seeing what you guys are doing.
DockyNarco.com